So due to me reading that verse in Hebrews where it talks about, how God made the world through his son, or the worlds through his son. Um, it's interesting, a different verse came up yesterday. Now, I've heard this verse used by different people to create a different meaning. And this is another example of that. And so it's very important how we quote the Bible, because you can make it mean anything should you isolate it and you put your own spin and your narrative on it. An example of this, I used to watch some brothers within no disrespect to y'all, in the woke community. And so, I forget what they call them. I don't know, I ain't in that community, so I don't care about getting the name right. But some of them brothers would point out certain Bible verses and put overemphasis on certain things to make it say something that it's not actually saying. But because people have perverted minds and because people wanted to believe these people, whatever they were saying about this book, people just took on what they said, didn't go read it for themselves. But and that's how a lot of people who don't have a brain for their own, to think on their own, to not have a herd mentality with certain things, they're going to believe whatever person they believe in says. And so I noticed that with certain people from the prophetic community misusing these verses, but the Israelites that they would hear these things from wasn't helping them very much with the understanding, because it was very self-serving. The reason why I say this, because they talk about, look at that theory I was looking for. I'm sure people can find a cause for that. But anyways, the verse I'm going into is talking about Israel, a world without end. And, just building off of what I said the other day with, Christ creating the worlds. Israel is saved with an everlasting salvation. That doesn't mean that everyone who is Israel, or who in the natural is Israel, will be part of that salvation. But we have to understand that God's word cannot return void to him. So when he said world without end and Israel will be saved with the everlasting salvation, some people would make it seem as if God is talking about all black people. Some people will make it seem as if everyone that is an Israelite will be saved. But in order to apply knowledge and different things about the Bible properly, you have to have understanding of different books. That's why you can't just draw your understanding from one book, one verse, a series of verses. You got to dive into all the books. You got to get into the Apocrypha even. The Apocrypha is going to show you some different things as well. Like Alexander the Macedonian. I don't want to call him the Great. The Macedonian is the way that they call him, and so that's the perfect way. But they give you historical context about him, and I believe he is an important figure in history because him conquering the known world, really changed a lot of different things. And so something to pay attention to. But with all that being said, this world without end, I believe that verse is true. But it would be a mixture of natural and wild branches. There'll be people that's grafted in. And so we can't use certain things to our benefit. And at times, you got to be humble, because when you speak of things, that don't automatically make you a part of it. Look at Moses. Moses, he was telling the children of Israel about the promised land and different things like that, and wasn't even the one that brought them into the promised land. And so the promise, the things that we speak isn't about us, it isn't about being self-serving. It's about getting the message to who those things pertain to, and, you know, to help you do everything humanly possible to get yourself right before the time. Peace.